What's going on, badass?
Hey, what's happening?
How's the game, man?
So far, so good, man.
Yeah, well, I got plenty of guys on here excited to hear you. I've introduced you as just finishing up, man. Again, congratulations out there.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you taking time out of your game. I don't know a lot of guys that would do that, but, SEALs are big on that. We all stood where these guys were standing at one point, and, somebody helped us along the way, so very cool. I appreciate you taking a few minutes.
Yeah, man, my pleasure.
What'd you do in high school?
High school, let's see. High school, played hockey and academics. That was it. That was pretty much life. I went to a boarding school up in New Hampshire, so that's pretty much all it was for me. It was hockey and academics.
Any brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I got a younger brother. He's 23. He is a senior in college right now.
How old are you now?
I'm 26. I'm a little older.
There you go. There you go. Anybody in your family in the military?
No, not in the immediate family. Distant family, yes, but nobody in the immediate family.
Good. Well, I know you're having a good time on leave going back, and I called today to talk to him, and he was taking a nap, and that's what guys do when they get out of BUDS, because he's missed 6 months worth of sleep and catching up. So great. What'd you do in college? Anything to prepare for BUDS, or what got you started in the whole SEAL thing anyhow?
Well, for me, I knew that this is what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do this when I was in high school, and I considered enlisting directly after high school, but I loved hockey so much that I knew that I wanted to play hockey in college. So I actually took 2 years off after high school, just played hockey, nothing but hockey. I ended up going to Amherst College in Massachusetts as an older kid, 21-year-old freshman. I got to play hockey in college. Was fortunate enough to have a great education, study some great subjects, particularly political science. Also learned the Russian language there as well, and that kind of put me in the running, I think, for an officer package. And all the while, I had my eyes set on trying to get picked up for a billet and make it out the BUD. So I was fortunate enough to have it all work out.
I only like giving guys the straight dope that, I get so many emails, so many YouTube comments, and, the things like this that we're doing now. But, being an enlisted guy, you got to give out the accurate information. So, there are a couple of paths to become an officer, but for a young guy like you, it's the OCS thing or it's the academy. So, when these guys are looking to what's step one?
Step one would be, obviously, get in touch with your local mentor, because I'm pretty sure they have a mentor program, such as yourself, throughout the whole country. So get with your mentor and your recruiter, and stay on your recruiter. Make sure that he is working for you. That's his job. My recruiter was lackluster. He was a full lieutenant in the Navy, and he was lackluster, but at the same time, I stayed on his ass. My mentor, because I was persistent and committed to my mentor, was persistent with me and committed to me to make sure that my recruiter worked for me to make sure things got in on time. The second step after that, you want your PSD scores to be as good as they can be. For me, I'm a terrible runner. Always have been. I played hockey all my life, so distance running was never really that important to me. It was always short bursts of energy and power. Obviously, didn't really affect me too badly in BUDS, made it through, but my PSD scores lacked in that department, so I was decent at swimming. I excelled there, and then from then on, just made sure that my push-ups, sit-ups, and pull-ups were good to go, and the run was what it was.
Now, when you're talking about recruiters, you're not going into an enlisted recruiter. You're going to an officer for all this.
Correct.
Right at a local recruiting office?
Yep, correct.
And just telling him you want to do the SEAL thing. Now, did you already have your degree at that point, or you were progressing close to graduating?
Yeah, I actually started the process my sophomore year because they used to have a program called the BDCP, which is the Bachelor Degree Completion Program, which basically you could get picked up for your billet, whether it be pilot or spec war or whatever it may be. You get picked up for your billet, and you go from there. You know your sophomore year that you're going to be going into that area of expertise. However, by the time that I applied for it my sophomore year, they canceled it for the SEAL program, and at that point, I was already in the pipeline, so I just continued to work on my PSTs, stayed in the loop, tried to talk to as many people as possible, and then when it was time to submit my application, the fall of my senior year, I did so.
Now, a lot of guys that have gone through my course and stuff here look to doing that, and they called down here heartbroken quite a bit. They went the route you went, and you know, as young as you did it, you know, these guys are in their sophomore year and it doesn't work out and progressing on. So what you know, what did you do? How competitive is it to do what you did? How many guys were wanting that and got it versus how many tried and didn't?
I don't know the exact number of how many wanted it. I know that they take, I want to say, maybe 16 a year for OCS. So at the two review boards, June and January, they take about 8 each for OCS. They'll take a similar number from ROTC across the country, and then they have the largest number of billets coming from the they're really big on those guys. Those guys have persistently and consistently performed really well out of BUD. So there's a reason for that. It was competitive, there's no doubt, and it's just a matter of trying to present yourself and put together the best package possible to separate you from the rest of the guys. Because you got to keep in mind that everybody that's going for this wants it, and they're going to work their ass off, and they're going to put in the time to get in shape physically. So what else can you do to separate yourself? That's what you got to ask yourself. And for me, it was my love of languages and my ability to do well in college.
Okay, so your grades. Tell them what this package is that you're talking about. What did you do for an application? What were they looking for?
Well, you fill out the basic application for OCS, and you put in your desired designator, which would be SEAL Spec War contract, and then within that, it's basically everything that goes into that. It is academics, sports, extracurriculars. And then on top of that, your PSD scores.
Anything else? You know, the guys that made it with you, you know, those small numbers of guys. Is there other things that they do aside from what you did to get them to stand out a little bit more?
I think one of the big things is trying to talk to as many people as possible. Start with your mentor. Try and get in touch through your mentor with other people that have made it through the program, maybe already actually have their bird. If there are officers in that group, great. If not, the enlisted guys may be able to say, hey, I got this great O in my, a third O in my platoon, or I've got this AOIC in my platoon. He'd be happy to talk to you about the process. The more you talk to these people, the more they see how bad you want it, and the more you can get your name into that mixture so that when your package comes before the board, it may say, oh, wait a minute, John Smith, I've heard of this guy. I talked to a good buddy of mine at Team 3. He says this guy's a good shit. He's good to go. Let's make this happen. So you got to get to yourself to that point in the road.
So when you say the board, explain what happens with that package.
Basically, your package is submitted with however many, I don't know if it's hundreds or 150, who knows how many people across the country. It gets selected. It basically makes it through an initial screen. So there's this lady in D.C., let's say, who looks at all these packages that come through. He says, okay, decent PSD scores, minimum GPA, good to be considered the board. Then it makes it to this board, and it's basically all these, I'm pretty sure it's a lot of Spec War officers that are looking at these packages sitting around a round table, and they go over each individual package. And that's how they make their selection decision right there.
Well, how many guys, when you talk about OCS, are you as well, you're talking about the Navy as well, and numbers for Spec Wars. These are guys that want to become naval officers, but, don't want to be SEALs.
Right, but your package to become a SEAL will go before a specific Spec War board.
Awesome. So start to finish, when you started submitting paperwork till the time they said, here you go, bro, here's your shot. How long did all that take?
Let me see. I submitted my paperwork in October of 2007, and when they said, you are good to go, you're going to OCS, it was August of 2008, and I went to OCS in September of 2008.
So went to knife and fork school. How long was that?
That was 12 weeks, 3 months. And to be honest, it was probably in some ways worse than BUD/S, just because you know that that's not where you want to be. It's just a means to an end. And it could be some grueling hours. I probably slept just as little, if not less, at OCS than I did in my time in BUD/S. So.
And how many guys were, now the guys that went through OCS, were there any other guys with a SEAL contract with you?
Not in my particular class. They usually space it out. There were two guys, a few classes ahead of me who are now actually my roommates out in San Diego, and then two classes behind me was a ginormous spec war class for OCS. I think they had 7 or 8 guys in that one OCS class, and I think how many of them, pretty much all but 2 of that class have made it through. So,
how many officers do you guys start with?
I want to say I started with 277, graduated with 278, got rolled for pool comp. But with 277, I want to say we started with maybe around 10 or so.
What'd you end up with?
They ended up with, let's see, they got Chicolo, Estrada, Madden, Schoen, Adler. I want to say they ended up with maybe 5 in the end.
Good. Not too bad. Not too bad.
6.
Not too bad, man. So, what would you tell these guys, when you get the buds, there's always something you're really, really glad that you did some extra stuff on. Usually it's the PT stuff. But what do you wish you had done more of before you got the buds? What would have helped you out more?
Run, no question. For me, my hands were a little tied because, I played hockey in college. That was my primary commitment. I knew that I would go to buds one way or another. If I didn't get picked up for an officer spot, I was mentally prepared to enlist, no questions asked, because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to become a SEAL. So if I could have gone back in time and not had the hockey to worry about, I would have run a lot more. And that's pretty much it for the physical side. Other than that, it's just basically, how bad do you want it? You want to stick with it. Because there are going to be times when you don't think about quitting, but you think, God, this is so frustrating. This was not in the, the gay Discovery 2, 3, 4 videos. Why didn't I know about this stuff? This is just, annoying Navy stuff. But it's all part of the program. It's all part of the mental toughness. So as long as you want it and you're persistent with it, you can make it happen.
Yeah, that's you bring up a good point. They only show you what they want you to see when they're watching those Discovery videos on there,
Right, yeah.
Pretty cool. And then you get there and you find out, wow, they didn't show this, So, yeah, excellent. Well, that was another good one because a lot of the guys, when you do the OCS thing, you have that option. You're not commissioned yet. You've got your degree. And so I guess what you were saying and what I've heard before is if that OCS package did not work out, you were going to enlist and go to BUD/S.
Yeah, no question. No question. I have a good buddy of mine that went to school at Amherst, graduated about 4, maybe 6 years ahead of me. And he ended up not getting picked up for an officer slot. He said, screw you guys, I can do this. He went and enlisted, and I believe he was honor man of his BUD/S class. So if you want it, go for it. It's not. It should not be a deterrent. If you're saying to yourself, "I only want to do this if I can become an officer," you might want to question whether or not you really want to do it at all. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, you either be, at times, you either really, really want to be an officer, or you really, really want to be a SEAL. Sometimes the two of them aren't going to go hand in hand, and you got to make up your mind.
That's right.
Flying planes or driving ships, all very cool stuff for the Navy, but the guys that are just holding out to be a SEAL officer, just like you said, you better get it together because sometimes it ain't going to work.
That's right.
I won't take you away from your game, man. That's been awesome. Any other final tips for these guys?
Let me think here. No, like I said, I would mentally prepare not to get picked up. Because a lot of times there's a lot of political stuff that goes on behind the scenes that you don't know about, and guys get picked up. As sad as it is, I look back at a few of the classes that were behind me because they've got a lot of officers stacked up in what's called PTRR, which are the guys that are waiting to go into INDOC. But they got a lot of O's in PTRR that I look at, and they do not resemble to me what a SEAL officer should start as. They look like guys that are weak, that really don't command any respect. So if you don't get picked up as an officer slot, do not think that you're not good enough to make it through BUD/S. Believe that you are and you have what it takes, and it will happen. There's no question about that.
What was that PC? What did you call that, the acronym?
PTRR.
And that is?
Nobody really knows what it stands for. It's like physical training, rest and recovery sort of thing. It's basically when you're waiting to class up. A lot of officers get pooled there because they finished their given programs, OCS, ROTC, Naval Academy, and they can only class up a certain number of officers at a time. So the ones that aren't in that bracket of being classed up, a a weight and PTR workout, maybe 4 hours a day, and then they're done for the day. And then once it's their turn to class up in Indoc, that's when they get going.
I got one more for you because you brought it up, and I don't want to miss it. Now, you're talking ROTC in the college. That guys that are in ROTC can also apply?
That's correct.
So they do what in college? 4 years of ROTC and apply from buds out of there?
Yes, that's how they do it. It's a very similar process. I can't speak to the specifics of that because my college didn't offer that. I did the OCS route, obviously, but from my understanding is you do the 4 years of ROTC, your 4 years of college, and you're basically in this pipeline while in ROTC that separates you from the rest of the ROTC crew. You're kind of in a spec war pipeline that trains together, studies together, does their whole shebang together, and the best people out of that little pipeline are the ones that get picked up from the ROTC group to go to BUD/S.
What school did you go to?
I went to Amherst College. It's a small liberal arts school in Massachusetts.
What a badass, man. Congratulations, dude. Welcome to the teams. And if you get out here to Norfolk, one of the East Coast teams, you stop by, man. Come down here and help me run some of these training courses.
Yeah, that's the plan, man. As of right now, I put in for East Coast. We haven't gotten our billets yet for the teams, but hopefully if I get my choice, I'll be out on the East Coast. I'd love to go to Team 2, Team 8, but we'll see what happens.
What a badass. Congratulations again, bro. And I tell you, I can't thank you enough for taking some time out from your game and leave. Merry Christmas, bro. Thanks.
Hey, Merry Christmas to you, and thanks to all the guys that are taking the time to listen. The guys that are listening right now are the guys that want it, so that's good stuff.
Yeah, good point. All right, badass. Get back to your game, man.
All right, thanks, Senior. Appreciate it.
All right, bro. Anytime. Thanks. Hey, we deliver. Very cool stuff. You guys got a ton of questions about this officer. It seems like everybody wants to, be a SEAL officer, be a SEAL sniper. Everything's possible. But, once you get through BUD/S, you got to get through BUD/S first. And, there's the pipeline. I was an enlisted guy. I just wanted to be a SEAL. But you guys got to make that decision, especially the guys that come out of the service academies. We had a platoon at Team 2 who the platoon commander and the assistant platoon commander were both Air Force Academy graduates. They do a transfer over to the Navy once they finish, and were both selected for BUD/S. Both made it, and have had plenty of that. So, but once you go through an academy, you're stuck. You are commissioned the day you graduate, and if the BUD/S thing doesn't work out for you, it doesn't work out. But at times, going to another college, doing the ROTC, doing the OCS thing afterwards, if it doesn't work out, you don't get selected, guys enlist. And they say now that there are more college-educated enlisted men in SEAL team than any other branch of the service or any unit in the service percentage-wise. Because guys, it doesn't work out for them, and they enlist. And, you can become an officer later. You're a good E4, E5, E6. You've done a couple of combat tours overseas. You've proven yourself as a leader. These guys are more than willing to invest in you, to send these guys, those E5s, E6s that don't have their degrees, to college. There's plenty of that going on. They'll send you to college and, pay you while you're going through with everybody else. And then you come back to the team as a commissioned officer, and the start of your officer career goes. Or if you already have a degree as that, and you request to become an officer after a few years, they'll send you to a knife and fork school, or OCS, where they teach you to be an officer and a gentleman. And you come back to the teams as an officer. And when you look at it, kind of the way the Navy looks at it, they already know what they have in the team. When you request to be an officer out of the teams, they already know who you are, how you operate. You've got the experience, you've got the trigger time, and not some young guy that they don't know if he can get through fricking Hell Week or not. Let alone make it through BUD/S, or what kind of an officer he's going to be once he comes out of there. Take a good hard look. Plenty of options open, man. You can get it done. So what a badass. I guess on Monday I'm going to talk to one of his classmates that went the Annapolis route. and made it through BUD. So yeah, man, ring knockers, blue canoe U they call it.